Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday morning trading session. The market's just opened and with a rather substantial opening gap. Let's take a look here at the NASDAQ here on the overnight. So the market's left off, where did they finish? Somewhere here around 47.45. It doesn't look like much on the Eagle, but this is pretty substantial. We've got about a 15 to 20 point gap on the open. So there's a bit of a hole down here. We'll see whether or not they tried to fill that gap or whether the NASDAQ is just going to continue to power higher. Hopefully we'll get a decent opportunity here this morning. Oh, actually we've got one right now. Now it's very early. It's only a minute or so out of the gate. We're getting a macro pullback signal here. This is the type of trade I'm not opposed to taking it because it's early. The market's searching for direction. It is the type of trade, though, that I would only put a onesie on it. And now it has moved into yellow bars. So I'm going to cancel that order. We'll see whether that hawk signal comes back with a red bar buy. I suspect the market's going to try to get here into the hard edge. Oh, here we go with the red bar buy now. And again, I'm just going to try a onesie just to see whether or not we're getting a little bit of a rally, or if in fact traders are going to try to get into that opening gap. And because this is a single, if we do fill, I think I'm going to try to run it out. Hopefully they won't slip me too much on the entry. All right. Oh, they did too. Oh my gosh, that's like a 3-point slip or a 3-tick slip. That's not nice. All right, so you'll notice here on the hawk, we're getting something resembling a buy signal. On the falcon, we're starting to work on a trend change, possible trend change. The raptor now into the first hard edge. And the eagle still a little indecisive. My thoughts here are that if the market is going to move, it may move early. So here's the raptor now, producing a buy signal. And we're up against these matching highs here. We'll see whether or not we can push on through that. So just your typical hard edge bounce. I suppose I can start to roll this stop in a little bit. There we go. Maybe I'll hold it back just a little, just in case we see a reaction here. And now back to the action here on the raptor, where we're just shy of our break-even trigger. I'm going to extend my break-even just a little. Friday mornings, a lot of times you'll see the markets get busy early. Oh, don't you dare come up short a tick. you know, there's nothing wrong with taking profit when you have it as well. There's $150 in open profit there. And now here comes the hawk, looking for that retest. Come on, get up there. No! Get away from there. Crude oil taking a little bit of a tailspin here this morning. Here's crude oil on the Falcon. Nice little trend change signal. Crude oil opening here at 6 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. Eastern. I am surprised to see crude oil slipping this low again. I really thought we were going to see crude oil get some traction and get around that $65 or $75 a barrel range. Not to happen. So bounced off the primary resistance right on the number, came down. Buyers tried to buy it back, came back with a sell signal, coincidentally also a late filter entry signal. So a couple of signals there that are high probability signals, and then crude oil declining here and now just below the primary support, which it tagged twice during the overnight session. All right, the Raptor finding our first profit target. Hooray. We'll see if the buyers get in there again. Come on. Very important bar, this one that's forming. If we see the buyers take control here, we should get a little bit more rally. However, if the sellers knock it down, we're almost certain to get stopped on our remaining position. Real big tug of war going on here. You can see it on the Geiger counter too. Buyers have control for a few seconds and then it flips around. Sellers have control for a few seconds. Come on, get over there. That's what I want to see. I want to see that wheel hold. Oop, that's not what I want to see. Get away from that sell side. There we go. No, it looks like the sellers may be piling on here as we get closer to the 4,800 area. Wouldn't that be something to see the NASDAQ trade up to 4,800? Sometimes in the morning I'll read different reviews on the market, and some of the authors are continually biased to the short side. And in spite of all their writings about how the market is overvalued and this, that, and the other thing, the NASDAQ just keeps going higher. Stock market just keeps going higher. So here on the Falcon, we have a trend change signal. A good opportunity to use a second push entry, however, and enter above the high of that current bar, which you can see I was a little late pointing out to you. That current bar also would have brought you in above the high of this bar here. Come on, let's go. So there's a Falcon trade that we had in play, and I think we might adopt a slightly more aggressive stop here as well. Don't want to leave all that open profit behind. And now it's getting substantial, so I think I'm going to move into parabolics on both. Parabolics, of course, great at capturing most of the market momentum, taking you out when the market starts to weaken. You can see our Falcon trade hitting its high probability profit target, after which time we generally see some sort of market reaction. So this may be the end of this leg. The hawk here now just close. All right, so we got tagged here on the hawk, and we got closed out on the raptor as well. Hooray for us. Well, that's a nice way to start the day. It's probably a good way to finish the week. I'm not sure how much more we're going to see out of the market after that. We'll see if they're topping now and whether or not we may get a retracement to the downside. I suspect not a full reversal, but rather yet another sideways day once the range gets set. The buyer's still looking very strong. Oh, maybe I was a little bit too quick with my parabolic stops. We're getting a little bit extra out of this. So crude oil also seeming to have slowed its decline somewhat. I'm also watching soybeans this morning just for a change. And they're actually following the NASDAQ pretty closely, which is more by coincidence than design. Soybeans and the NASDAQ, totally unrelated markets. Here's soybean market on the hawk, and you can see a lot of yellow bars. The market opens right here to some sideways trading, and now we're producing a first micro-macro cross signal. And if that drifts back into yellow bars, well, then we'll have to cancel it, but pretty much looking at something like this, trying to get the market back up to the top end of the trading range. And here we go with the red bar buy signal. With the soybean market, we're going to use the alternate settings. That's the 4-tick Hawk, 4-tick Falcon, 6-tick Eagle. No, staying in yellow bars. So we're going to cancel that. Looks like soybeans may be drifting sideways for a little while still. And speaking of drifting sideways, the NQ kind of putting the brakes on. We've got 2 out of our 4 arrow consolidations. So we've got 2 arrows. Working on signal number 3. This is just one of those pauses in the market where you're waiting for things to sort itself out. Just gotta be patient. Now, if you're suspecting that the market may try to bolt without you, here's our 3rd arrow on a possible 4-arrow consolidation. You can always set up to take it on the breakout and not wait for that 4th arrow. That's always a possibility. Remember what a 4-arrow consolidation pattern shows you. It just shows you a market that is moving sideways. It's in consolidation. Very often it has a flag shape to it, and by that I mean in an uptrending market, it's going to look like a bull flag. Here's our 4th signal now, and we should try to cover that fairly deep, I think. We did get a basic trend line touch signal here with the Falcon. Notice the width of some of these bars though. If you're using the dynamic equivolume bars, you can see there's a lot of volume going through on these couple of bars here. All right, let's see if we can, they didn't slip us on this one. I am going to try to run this one out also. I'll delete the profit objective. go. No, don't look back. There we go. We would have hit our profit target, so that was good enough for a scalp. Let's see if we can't get a little bit extra. You can see that today's range already surpassing the range for the last 30 days. The NQ been especially quiet, characteristic of summer trading. We'll keep another tick for ourselves. I just rolled the break even up another tick. You can adjust that manually. You can even go into negative ticks if you want. Is this the end of the line for the NQ? Makes me wish I'd taken the trade here on the hash market. It would give me a little bit more wiggle room. Nothing else really brewing at the moment. Just taking a look here at the Eagle, where we had very nice hard edge bounces. Here, red bar buy signals, hard edge bounces that came about an hour before the North American Open. And then with the North American Open, we had just our basic with trend signal. The Eagle, one of these tools that I don't mind taking early signals on, even though this morning I was concentrating more on the Hawk and the Raptor. Definitely a tool that if it prints an early signal, it's worth trying. We're kind of holding here. You can see a lot more volume coming through on these bars as they're getting a little bit wider. We're stuck on our secondary resistance here at 47.86 half. This is here on the Falcon now. But the market very, very vertical, very strong. I'm not giving this current trade any room whatsoever to move against me. If I wanted to give this trade a little bit more room, I might entertain leaving my stops here below this trend line that I've drawn in, perhaps even below the macro line. Yeah, it's looking like they're hopping around a little bit too much here. Come And give me one more push. All right, leave me no choice. I've got to bring out the magic mouse. Here we go. Just give it a little nudge. I don't like manipulating the market this way for my own personal gain, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Come on, get up there. I'm not sure if it's just a general lack of market participation or if the sellers are really trying to fight the market back. I'm watching the Geiger counter here. The bid and ask numbers still seem quite reasonable. It's not like it's onesie-twosie trading going on. Not much else to look at. I'm scanning the other markets and really it's pretty quiet overall. It is Friday. A reminder, while I think of it, no trading room next week. We will have the regular Wednesday open house, but I'm going to take a few days off from hosting the room. It's only 1 week. You'll survive. It's a good time too when you're trading on your own. Make notes of things that are causing you problems. And then when the trading room resumes the week after, it's a good opportunity for you to ask questions and I'll do my best to help you. Wow, just a crazy bar that's been working here on the NASDAQ for how long? Oh, sorry. Where's the bar before? Oh, it seems longer than it is. It's only been about 5 minutes. All right, Tony. Tony says, Eric, you got to work that magic mouse a little bit more. All right, here we go. I'm waiting for somebody to write Adam and ask about it. Here we go. Gee, I wonder if I can move the market all the way to 4,800. It might require quite a bit of energy, though. They're thinking about it. They really are. When you get up to around 47.90, you know they're thinking, can we get this to 4,800 and then we'll just sell the daylights out of it. So 4,800 right up here. And in fact, I may be one of the early sellers. Let's not get greedy here. We'll sell at 47.98. That's a long ways up still. But you know they've got to be thinking that. All right, here we'll tickle it a little bit more. Come on, get going. I'm not sure we've had any follow-up signals on any of the other tools. We did get here on the Raptor, for you Raptor traders, your best signal actually came here out of the open. And when you're looking at trading pullbacks, or any signal for that matter, it's always nice when the market has this kind of shape to it. When the signal has that kind of shape, it comes out, produces a signal. These, pardon me, these signals here, they did work out, but notice we don't really get that little, stop it, bull flag type arrangement. Certainly not like this one here. So a little note to self, when you see that little sideways or downward shaping corridor and the market comes out, produces a signal, and that's a pretty decent signal to try to jump on board. These signals you could have just gone on just out of the sheer momentum of the thing. You know, if you recognize, hey, the market is bullish today, it was bullish through the overnight. There's the notion that, you know, when the market picks a direction, traders are looking for any reason to buy. They'll buy any pullback, big or small. They'll buy the close of any bar. They'll buy any new breakout. Traders have a myriad of excuses for getting into the marketplace. And believe me, right now, everybody recognizes the market as trending higher. They're looking for any reason at all to buy in. The other day we were talking about failed signals as possible counter-trend signals. Here's a macro pullback signal in crude oil that's about to fail. And again, not a signal that I point out to you very often, because I don't want you looking for counter-trend signals. There's enough with trend signals. You know, if you try to fade every first micro macro cross, so here's a first micro macro cross lower, we would normally set it up like this. If you try to reverse it and buy it higher, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of first micro macro cross signals. But here we have a macro pullback signal. The market's now moved into yellow bars, but notice we're making a higher low. Also note that this is going to be a 3-arrow consolidation in crude oil. So if I'm always concentrating on the counter trend version, I'm never going to have that opportunity to take the with trend high probability signal. But I just thought it was interesting. We had the higher low. If it fails above the macro pullback, we're very likely going to see crude oil trade just a little bit higher. So here's a 3-arrow consolidation. Let's see if that follows through. Remember, with crude oil, because it's a faster moving market, we look for 3 arrows on the consolidation, not 4. Although, technically, I suppose you could count this one as your 4th arrow. 1, 2, 3. There's signal number 4. All right, so as that one's working, I think I will set up for the failure, if I can get that. And that would just be a short-term scalp. I don't think I would try to run that one out very far, given that crude oil is in a rather substantial decline. Yeah, Tony says 4,800 is a big round number for the NQ. Come on, bulls. Yes, sir. And right now, everybody's kicking themselves who didn't buy in earlier, saying, why didn't we buy in? Where are we going to buy in? Well, if you've waited this long, you may as well keep waiting, unless you just want to try to scalp in and out, because it's very likely, if we do see 4,800 today, we're going to get a little bit of a reversal here as sellers try to draw first blood. May see them pile up here at 47.95. Come on, NQ, let's go. Well, we've been rallying for just over half an hour now, almost 40 minutes. And I think I'm going to get tapped here as the sellers start to step up. And there they go. All right, well, not a bad effort. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat or something this morning. It will not go away. Okay, so a couple decent trades there on the Hawk, decent trade on the Raptor. I hate to say it, but you know, folks, that's probably it for the day. That was probably the move of the day right there. I doubt very much the sellers will be able to muster much of a retracement. In that, I mean, I seriously doubt that we can see a full-blown retracement back here to where we started. What's more likely to happen is that the market's going to start moving sideways. We could very well see a move back to the hard edge, and then the market will buy up again, and they'll get knocked down again, and it may buy up again, and may even tag 4,800. But with a day like today, it seems extremely unlikely that we're going to get a full reversal. So here, let's go now to the crude trade, which just triggered. And we'll try to nurse this one along. Notice the failure of the macro pullback signal. Now we're getting a green bar sell. So the seller's not done with this market yet. That's why you don't want to get too cheeky buying into a downtrending market. So we've got a couple of trend lines going, something like that. So we don't have the green bar sell just yet here in the hawk. Rather, we just have the warning dot. So all I've done is activate my stops so that when the break-even trigger hits, the trade manager will automatically take my stops and roll it to break-even if the break-even trigger hits. Come on, get up there. I'm thinking a retracement to 41.75, maybe even 41.80 is a realistic possibility. If you're ever wondering where the market may retrace to, here's a little trick, if you will. If you look at your crests in your macro lines and micro lines, it's very often where the market may try to go to. Not precise, of course, but if you're just looking for a range to eyeball. Oh, the crude buyers struggling here. So all those sell signals have now disappeared and the market parameters have changed over entirely. We're actually, this is not a first micro macro cross, but it's the beginnings of a first micro macro cross. You note that the macro line not in sync yet. So don't get too excited about buying crude oil. Come on, crude. Still not a first micro-macro cross, but it worked out all the same. So it looks like this trend line could be a little influential for crude. So a pretty good morning, great way to finish off the week, actually. While all that was going on, soybeans also decided to make a break for it. Here's soybeans now on the eagle, but in all honesty, this would have been a very difficult signal to take. It is a red bar buy signal. You could wait for the ATR to flip over, in which case this bar here now becomes your signal bar. You'd probably end up bracketing the range like this. Soybeans, another market where I do tend to extend the profit objective just because they can have some pretty decent follow through. But if you're going for your high probability target of $200, well, it would be on the close of this bar. Unfortunately, a little bit easier to see in hindsight rather than when it was developing real time. Well, the NQ keeps trying to press higher. We're starting to get a little bit more sideways drift. You can see here on the Falcon, the market moving sideways, the Raptor also moving sideways. Some really big bars here developing on the Eagle now. Lots of volume coming through. Are the sellers actually going to break a low? See here on the Hawk, this is going to be the first low that has been breached since the open. So the market opened making higher lows the whole morning, and right now this is the first breach of the lows. The problem with the NQ now is not so much choosing its direction. I think any buy is going to be relatively safe. The problem is, where in the world are you going to cover this trade? How far back do you have to hold your stops? See here, we're getting a macro pullback signal now. It just triggered, but again, where am I going to keep my stops? Way down there? Nope, can't do it. What if I keep my stops? Well, what if I keep my stops here at the macro line? Well, I can do that. Let's see if we're more lucky than good. Type of trade too, after the market's been in this much of a trend, I would probably consider dialing down the risk amount. Just because you know there's some sort of retracement coming, even if it's not a big one, you know there's going to be some sort of bearish push as the market establishes a range. I suppose you could start counting here and say 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 arrows. We may also get a 4-arrow consolidation out of this before the market tries to push on through to 4,800. I think that's a reasonable target. Well, you just know they've got to be thinking 4,800. Don't know if they'll make it, though. Things have gotten really quiet. I mean really quiet. All these traders that bought on this little breakout, so this little high right here, bought the breakout, these bars here, I guess they're not full-on panic mode yet. But here too, you have to wonder, where did they put their stops? Did they run their stops back to the hard edge? Perhaps this hard edge? These would be what we referred to the other day as the weak buyers. I prefer the term late buyer, probably because too often in the past this has been me. So now what's likely to happen is that the market will come down here. It will look for some sort of support where the strong buyers, or as I prefer to call them, the early buyers, will buy in, and the late sellers will sell. And then as the market rallies, the late buyers will exit at a break-even or slight loss. The early buyers will exit with profit, and then the early sellers will get on board, and the whole process will start to repeat itself. And that's why we are very likely to see the market move sideways for the remainder of the session. Good time for questions if you have any. Otherwise, I know it's only been an hour since the open, but quite honestly, I don't think we're going to see anything else going on here. Crude oil also moving into a little bit of a sideways range. It may be a good opportunity to make it an early weekend. There's, nothing wrong with this macro pullback signal. The only problem, like I say, with the macro pullback signal, where am I going to cover it? Where will I cover this trade? Here at the macro line? Oh, that seems awfully handy. Back below here, maybe, where the rally started its second push. Back below here, where the market started to rally or get some serious momentum. Down here, below the low of the day. It's an awfully long ways for the market to reach back, but I think I may be able to gain a slightly better entry than that also. The seller's certainly not keen on selling. No questions? All right, you guys and girls, I think we're going to button up the room. Honestly, we could sit here for another half an hour. Nothing, it really is going to happen. We're not going to miss anything. Any retracements I would be suspect of, and I would look for some renewed buying and for the market to probably push a little bit higher. Not much higher, but it would be something if we did see 4,800 before the close of the week. That would be impressive. All right, for those of you who came in late, again, just a reminder, no trading room next week. We will have the Wednesday open house. Otherwise, I will see you in a week's time. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.